organizing that's going on with a group of people who can get them up off their knees, get them to stand up, shoulders back, chin up, and look at the King of England, and the king who at that time gets his authority where? God. I mean, you don't get more legitimate than that. Look at the king who is supposedly God's representative on earth. Look past the king at the most mighty military might that the world had ever seen to that point and say, "You're done." Right? And I'll tell you, at the end of the day, what I believe happened through that process is called self-respect. A kind of empowerment that is not just intellectual, but it comes in your gut where you say, we can do this. We can meet our needs. We are not dependent upon the king. We are not dependent upon an empire. We are not dependent. We are actually self-reliant on each other. And so, frankly, I don't want to just emulate the Declaration of Independence. I don't want to just declare independence from corporations. I want to also declare my interdependence on you and the natural world. I want to actually shift the way that we're thinking about everything in this country. Because let me tell you something. Corporations are not merely exercising power today. They are ruling us. As surely as masters once ruled their slaves, our kings once ruled their subjects, these unelected and unaccountable corporate CEOs are ruling us. And we need to understand, and as a lawyer, I will tell you specifically and explicitly, they are using the legal system to legitimize their rule. And at the linchpin of it, is this legal doctrine that says a corporation is a person with constitutional rights. Ooh. That shit is crazy. Let me be clear. I am a civil libertarian. I believe in your right. I believe in your right. I believe in your right. I believe in my right. And my rights, your rights, are human rights. And they are not dependent upon the majority of our community to agree with us. So understand this. Any law that actually violates a human right, even if it goes through a democratic process, that law is illegitimate. Laws that forbid women from voting were illegitimate under the constitutional framework because they violated women's equal protection. Jim Crow segregation laws of the South were illegitimate, even though they went through a democratic process and were passed by duly elected representatives. They were illegitimate because they violated the inherent human rights of African Americans and the descendants of Africans in this country. They're illegitimate. So it is appropriate not only to violate those laws because they're unjust laws with nonviolent civil disobedience, it's also appropriate for courts to overturn those laws. You follow? So the idea of constitutional rights is profound and critical. Because if your right, if your human right is violated by a democratic process, your right is not taken away legitimately. The whole system is wrong. So here's the kicker. When the court says that a corporation is a person with inherent constitutional rights, it perverts the entire notion of a democratic republic. It takes away from we the people the sovereign right to govern ourselves. Because corporations are the most powerful institutions that exist in current society. And not just in this country, but everywhere. And frankly, if we take a look at the creation of the transnational corporation, you know when it was created? The 13th, 14th, and 15th century. You know, the age of discovery. It's not discovery, is it? What did they discover? Africa, Asia, later North and South America. Newsflash. There were people living there. Yeah. They were not lost. They didn't need to be discovered. Let's actually call it what it really is. It was the age of empire. It was the age of brutal rape and pillage and plunder. And check it out. The modern transnational corporation gets created during that time period as an instrument of imperialism. The East India Corporation, the Africa Trading Company. Anybody want to guess what the Africa Trading Company traded? Africans. See, you know what? When I say it to older crowds, they say slaves. But younger people immediately go to Africans or people. Which tells me that we're making some progress, you know, in terms, yeah, we're making some progress around around racism. But I gotta tell you, look, I'm not looking for a pat on the head or anything, but I kind of get tired of being like one of the few 48-year-old white straight men who is willing to talk about white supremacy, or willing to talk about sexism, or talk about homophobia. Hey, white people, start talking about race.
Yeah.
Right? White people, start talking about race. Men, start talking about sexism. Right? Straight people, start talking about homophobia. Right? I guess what I'm getting at, my charge, I believe, coming to this group, the California Student Sustainability Coalition, is to encourage you, to plead with you, to hopefully in some way inspire you to basically keep doing what you're doing. Because, look, when I was a student at the University of Houston, I got my start in politics in the anti-apartheid movement. And yeah, you can applaud that, or you can cheer that. I mean, but I don't say it to get a pat on the head. I want you to understand the reason was because I went into that institution basically brainwashed. I thought, rah, rah, USA, I was totally proud to be an American because I was taught that this was the land of the free and the home of the brave, liberty, justice, equality. See, I bought all that. And then I went to college and I realized, oh, I've been lied to.